Contractors never talk about the real problems going on, and so I'm going to do that today. And I'm going to go through the big 3 problems that we see most owners really struggle with. And how do I know that? Because I work with contractors all over the U.S. If I've not met you before, my name's Steve Huber, and I work with contractors all over the country. I've been in business now for 16 years. My teams have sold over $2 billion worth of projects. And today we help contractors hit $1 million months, month after month after month. And it's really all we talk about here on this channel. So if you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're not, and you want to hit $1 million month, give a subscribe. We'll walk you exactly through how to do it. So the big 3, like what are these big 3 things that we hear all the time within our clients and our meetings and our conversations with owners? And I'm going to go through and break them out with you right now. So the first one is margins. Margins suck on certain projects, or at least the perception that margins suck on certain projects. And it's something that we see all the time. Contractors come to us and it really takes shape in a form of, hey, I'm not making enough money. I don't have enough money in my bank account at the end of the year. And what we do is we go through and we'll help them understand where dollars are going and where they should be. And for most of you, like the vast majority of contractors, it is not selling at the proper price. You are selling too low because you don't know how to sell value. And it's something that, again, we see all the time. But it doesn't make a lot of sense when you really step back and you think about it. The very biggest contractor in your city, wherever you're at watching this, if you think about the biggest roofing company, the biggest siding company, the biggest solar company, the biggest HVAC company, the biggest window and door company, these are all industries we work with, by the way. They probably are one of the most expensive companies in town. The biggest companies tend to be the most expensive. The smallest companies tend to be the cheapest. Now, why is that? Well, obviously, big companies have some more overhead. They have more people they got to pay. Maybe they have different insurances. But the big reason is that big companies understand how to sell value. And they understand what it takes to run a business long term. That company that's been around for 20 years, that has hundreds of employees, guess what? They're probably going to be pretty expensive because they know that there's ups and downs. They know that the economy can morph, and they understand how to tell that story to clients and say, look, I'm going to be here for you for another 10 or 20 years. And so you have to understand that your margins are probably weak because you've not understood how to actually convey value. You've not understood how to present your brand as a trustworthy brand to your homeowners. And it's a very easy problem to solve. Very, very easy. And so the first thing I want you to do is understand and ask yourself, am I being a brand that's worth being paid, charging a premium price? Do I look the part? We go through something, we do a 30-day roofing launch challenge, and one of the sections in that is all about looking the part. It's making sure that you look like a real roofing company. And we do that by setting you up with swag and materials and things that you can hand a homeowner so that you look like a real pro when you go into the house. Most of you struggle there. Your trucks aren't marked right. They don't look good. When we ask for a proposal, it's handwritten. Your contracts aren't really dialed in. You don't have a great brand story that you go out and you tell a homeowner, this is why you want to work with me. And by the way, these are things that it doesn't take a lot of money to do. It doesn't take years of experience being in business. And I'll give you an example. I had a client of mine that came in, and he had been in business for about a year, and he was struggling with margins. And he's like, gosh, man, I just don't know how to compete with some of these bigger companies. They have all these people. They have all the call centers. They have this and that. And I said, well, why would I hire you? Like, his name was Casey. Casey, why would I hire you versus one of those other companies? And he kind of struggled with it for a minute. I said, let me tell you why I'd hire you. Because when I hire your business, I work directly with the owner. And You're the guy out here supervising the crew. You're the guy that's going to call me and tell me if my material's on time. You're the guy that's going to call me and make sure that everything's done right. Your name's on the building. And so if I got a problem, I get to work directly with you. Not your employee, not some call center overseas. I get to work with Casey. And that's a very special thing. And that immediately shifted his mind from, oh my gosh, I'm just chucking a truck and driving out and trying to do these things cheap, to I really have a lot of value that I can go present to my homeowners, and that value is worth money. And so start thinking about, how do you get those margins up? A good place to be, at a minimum, you need to be at a 30 to 35% profit margin on the job. So what that means is that, let's say that we sell something for $10,000. At most, it can cost $7,000 in material and labor. We need $3,000 in profit minimum on that project. When you get humming for certain product lines, 40 and 50 and 60% margins. There's even some things like service work that can be 100% margins. But core products, 30 to 35%, bare minimum. You do not sell it if you're below there. If you don't know how to sell it at that kind of margin, you need help. You need to think about your brand, think about your story, and really put yourself out there as a premium product that's worth buying. All right, so that's number one. Number one is margins. Number two, a super common problem is hiring. And we see issues with companies that are struggling to hire all across the board. This can be, I'm struggling to hire salespeople. I'm struggling to find installers. I'm struggling with subs. I'm struggling with admin people. I have all this turnover, like I can't hire good people. I had a company the other day that said, every time we hire a salesperson, they don't work out. And I asked them a very simple question. What is your expectation of a salesperson? And they have one. And one of the things that most business owners don't understand is that there's actually two sales that take place all day, every day. Number one is your customers. We talked about that just a second ago. The second one is your employees and the talent in the market. And I'll tell you a quick story here. So there was a time where I had run, at the time it was the largest privately held solar, roofing, HVAC, fences. We did painting. Like, we were a massive home improvement company, and we were the largest privately held company in the country. And the time came for me to leave and go somewhere else. And I left on a Friday, and over the weekend, I had told like a couple of friends of mine that I had left. And come Tuesday, I think Monday was like a holiday. Come Tuesday, I had 14 companies that had reached out to me and wanted to set up interviews. And this isn't like a brag. It just happened to be a great economy, and I was at the right place at the right time. Okay, 14, and I interviewed with 14 companies that reached out, and I sat with all of them, and probably 10 of them, I said, again, I came from growing a company from like zero to several $100 million a year worth of revenue. I'm an ambitious person. I would consider myself an A-player hire, like a top-tier hire. 10 of the 14 had no goals. I said, what are you looking to do? What are your goals as a company? And it was things like, we just want to be a good contractor. We just want to do good work. We just want to grow at a sustainable level. Well, that's fantastic. And those are all admirable things. But if you don't have a plan to get there, or a defined plan on what it is that you're looking to do, I don't have a lot of confidence in what it is that you're looking to do. Now, the other 4 I met with had some semblance of a plan. And it went something like, well, Steve, let me tell you, right now we're a $10 million company, and our goal is to become a $50 million company in the next 2 years. And we're going to do that by adding these other product lines in and opening these other markets. Now, where we're struggling is X, Y, and Z. Okay? And guess what? As an A player, I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. These guys have a roadmap for where they want to go. They have a vision for this company, and I see how I fit into that vision. And it made it really easy for me to go home and tell my wife, hey, honey, I've got a company here. And let me tell you what they're looking to do. You see, again, like I said, so many business owners forget that they actually have to sell their employees. Like, what's your value prop to your employee? And if you don't have one, hiring is going to be really, really hard for you. And by the way, there becomes your A players out there, your best salespeople, your best superintendents, your best leadership roles. They have options. They expect to get paid. Okay? But what separates them, like the whole market is going to pay them well. But what's going to allow them to pick you is your vision. Okay? You have to have vision to fix your hiring problems. And again, so often I see people that say, I'm struggling with hiring. It's like, well, why would I work for you? Tell me where you're going. Tell me your vision as a company. And they say, well, we're just trying to be a great contractor and grow in a very stable way. Again, that's admirable, but it doesn't give me confidence that you have a plan in place to actually execute and grow this company. And as an A player, I want to grow this company with you. I want to work hard and get a promotion. I want to sell a lot of jobs. I want to build a team. I want to be responsible and be part of something bigger. All those things we want our A players to be. But yet we as a company have to be an A player as well. A players want to work for A playing companies. And you got to be one. Okay? So it goes back to that margin topic too, right? If you say, hey, this is why I'm amazing. You know, I had another client very similar to Casey. He came in and he said, hey, I'm struggling hiring. I said, why would I work for you? His name's Matt. And Matt was like, I don't know. I said, well, let me tell you why I'd work for you. Because I get to work with the owner every day. I get to work with the guy that cares. I get to grow this company with you. And I'm not just lost in the shuffle as some other number out there. I get to build this company with you. And so, Matt, let's build this company from 5 million to 20 million to 50 million. And let's do those things. And I want to be here with you along the way doing it. Get your hiring in order like that. Okay? All right. That's the second thing. So number one was margins. We're not making enough money. We're charging too little on our jobs. Number two was hiring. We're not hiring good people because honestly, we don't have a good offer for them. A players don't want to work for you because you're not projecting yourself to be an A playing company. You got to fix that. The third thing is burnout. And there are unfortunately a lot of really phenomenal contractors. It's actually one of the big reasons I started a $1 billion contractor was there's so many great contractors out there that they're waking up in the morning. It's Tuesday morning. They're in their truck at 5. They're driving around town. They're picking up supplies. They're showing up to job sites. They're installing work all day long. At night, when the crew's gone home and the job site's packed up, guess what they're doing? They're in the home getting ready to sell work for the next day or the next week. They're dealing with payroll. Like, it's a lot to own a construction company. And unfortunately, usually the best craftsmen, the ones that want to be hands-on and they want to make everything perfect and they want to do that phenomenal job for their customer, like the best contractors, they're the ones that struggle the most because they have a hard time letting go of things. They have a hard time designing those systems, having that confidence of a good value prop and putting that good aura out there and saying, hey, I'm an A player and telling that story. Normally it's the worst contractors that can do some of that stuff really well. And the best contractors get screwed. And what ends up happening is you will burn yourself right out of your business. And there is nothing that will tank your business faster than an owner that's burnt out or that's given up and has forgotten why they started that business to begin with. And so burnout's a big one. And it's funny, when I first started $1 Billion Contractor, I said I'm going to be an advisor and a coach for contractors. And after like my first, I don't know, maybe 3 months, I go to my wife and I say, hey, I know it says that I'm like a coach and an advisor, but I feel like more of a counselor a lot of time. And it's because as the owner of the company, it's really hard to say that you don't know what you're doing, or say that you're insecure about something, or that you're nervous. Like nobody wants the owner of the company to come out and be like, guys, I don't know what I'm going to do next week. We got to pay bills, and I don't know how I'm going to get leads, and marketing's tanking. Like, you always have to be this beacon that people can look up to and feel good and confident because they got a family to feed and they're trusting you to be able to provide opportunity for them to pay their bills. And so burnout's a very, very real thing. And I think it's probably one of the things that a lot of my clients get value out of me with, is working one-on-one, and we talk through some of those problems. We just come up with a plan to get it. And it's so funny to me when I start our meetings. A lot of times we do 1 hour sessions on our one-on-one groups. A lot of times they'll say, how you doing? And there's like this problem that exists. And by the end of it, we've come up with a solution to that problem. And they're like a heat-seeking missile, going to go out and do things. It's also why we created our brain group. We get a group of people together, and it's Contractors. And I created this system to where everybody can get in there. You own a business, and you're anonymous, and there's no competition in the room with you. So I'll give you an example. I may have a group with somebody from Sacramento, San Diego, Dallas, Miami, New York, Minnesota, and Oklahoma. They are not competing with each other at all. Then we give them an alias so that nobody even knows who they are. Like, your name's Willy Wonka, and that's what you're known in that group. And what's wonderful about that is that when your competition's not in front of you and nobody even knows who you are, you can be incredibly vulnerable with what your problems are, and we all want to help you fix them because somebody else is probably going through the same problem. And we all can work together to help solve that problem together. And it's been so cool to see not only the real tactical stuff that comes out of that. Like, hey, here's how I handle onboarding. I had a client the other day who said, I'm really struggling with onboarding. I don't know how to onboard people, and it's something I struggle with. I, of course, had some systems that I said, hey, here's a way that we could do this, and here's how my sales teams were over 100 people. Here's how we handled onboarding. But we had other clients that came in and said, gosh, that's a really great way to look at it. Have you thought about it this way? Have you tried this? Here's how I get people in. Here's how I find my A players, and providing all of that input. But the reality is he probably never would have told any of his competition or any of his local market or anybody that he was having an onboarding problem unless we gave him that safe space to do it. And so it's been a wonderful thing to help with burnout, is just literally to give you a place that's safe, that you can talk about those problems and challenges in a very open and safe way. So burnout's a very, very big one. Like I said, we created those groups specifically for that. You have to apply to it. So I'll put a link down below. If it's something you're interested in, just click the link, book a call. Myself or my team will get on there with you, and we'll just ask what you're looking to do. But we keep it a very safe place for people. So we want to make sure we have the right group of people in there to help with those kind of things. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So if you're struggling with burnout, what it comes down to ultimately is we have to get things off your plate. We have to empower our people to go do things for us. We have to have faith and confidence that they're going to do a good job. And that comes down to making good hires and hiring right people, which again could be a challenge. It comes down to you letting go of some things and having some systems there. And then it also is a lot of just the emotional and mental stuff that you have to get through. And you have to realize that it's going to be okay. And when you hear somebody say, you know what, I thought for a long time I had to do it all. And I started by offboarding my scheduling. And I had somebody just take over scheduling. And that was a huge thing. And then that gave me the ability to really dig into operations and ordering materials and supply chain. And when I got my arms around that really well, I hired somebody in to handle that. And I knew the business well enough at that level to where I had set the systems up and I knew that I could hire somebody in to be successful for them. You will never build a big business doing it by yourself. And so you have to get those things off of your plate and get them into other people And ultimately, that is what we do, is we create those systems and help you guys do that. So anyways, I don't want to see anybody get burnt out. So if you are struggling with that, click the link below. Let's hop on a call and see if we can help you on that way. Either working one-on-one together, putting some systems in place, or just literally getting into one of our masterminds and allowing you that space to see what your peers are doing that aren't your competition and give you an anonymous space to say, I'm struggling here. We had another guy the other day. He said, I'm struggling with cash flow right now because we've grown really fast and I'm struggling with how to order materials and my credit lines are tapped out at my vendors and my suppliers, and I have jobs that need to get material ordered for right now. You would never have that conversation with your employees or at the Denny's group down the street with all your local competition there. But that's the kind of stuff that we get to talk about in those groups. So it's really, really cool. Anyways, that's kind of just a peek behind the door. There are, of course, other things that people run into, but that's the big one. Margins, hiring, and burnout. Try and avoid those three and you're going to be in good shape. As always, I appreciate you guys being here. If you got value out of the video, please subscribe. This is what we talk about. We want you guys to be hitting $1 million months. That is the goal, is to help you get there and not lose your mind and go crazy. Until next time, I'm Steve Huber. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out to the end, and I'll catch you on the next one.